Hi Stampers, this is Kathy from Ladies Stamp A Lot. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold card. It's a great way to use up designer series paper, and it's really quite easy. Here's another one that I made using some leftover supplies from class that I had this week. So it's a really cute, kind of a wow, fun fold, but it's very, very easy. Now I used the Friendly Foliage bundle. This was I think it was November, online exclusive, November 2025. So I don't know how much longer it's going to be around. It's only $38.50 for the bundle. So it's not too expensive, and I think it makes some cute cards. After I show you this card, I have a bunch over here I want to show you as well. Okay, so for this card, I'm going to make it using different paper. This is the Perennial Lavender paper, which is still available, but I'm sure it's going to be going away when the new catalog comes because it's been around for a while. So this is great for 12 by 12. So this is 12 by 5 1/4, and very easy. You're going to score it at 2, 4, 6, 8. And you want to make sure that your largest piece is to the right. So if you have a one-way pattern, make sure it's facing up, and that when you score 2, 4, 6, 8, that the biggest piece will be here. Some people use the paper trimmer differently, and it might end up that the bigger piece was over here. So just be aware of that. Okay, otherwise your paper's going to be upside down. Then you're going to need a piece of coordinating cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's going to be the base, so you want it to look nice behind your designer paper. Then we're going to have on the front of the card some stamping, and then we're going to have mats. I used the same as the base for the larger mat, which is 2 3/4 by 4 1/8. And I know that's a funky number, but I wanted it to look nice with my die cut. Actually, it's going to go on this piece, which is 2 1/4 by 3 5/8. So I wanted this to fit where it went off a little bit, and so I kind of sized it the way I liked it to layer it. If you don't like those 8ths, or you have trouble with 8ths, you can cut it a little bit differently, however you want. Okay, then for the inside of the card, so this is the mat, and then this is going to be another layer. And then on the inside, we're going to have 2 pieces with our sentiment. Now it's basically the same as this here, 2 3/4 by 4 1/8, except I took off a 1/16 on each edge, on the top and the side, so that it's slightly smaller, and when it goes together, it won't show. And I'll explain that when we put it together, what I mean, but that's really not necessarily. And then for stamping, you're just going to need some scraps for a sentiment, and then for the largest floral image in the stamp set. Now I just wanted to show you that the dies are kind of interesting. So you can see, let me pull these out. When you stamp your image, and to save time I did this ahead of time, but here's the stamped image. I should show it in camera. And then if you use this die around it, which is one way of cutting it, you're going to get this, where it's still the white center and the little flowers are coming off the edges, which is really cute, and I made some cards doing that. But you can also cut it and add this piece on the inside, and of course you would want to tape this in place so it doesn't slide around when you put it through your machine. And if you go and place both of these in your cut and emboss machine at the same time, you'll get this, where it's actually cut out, and then you'll see the paper behind it. Okay, so there's 2 ways of using these dies, and I just think that makes it a little bit more versatile and gives you more options on whether you want to get more detailed or not. Okay, so let's put this together and you'll see how easy it is. And then I'll show you some other cards that I made with this bundle. Okay, so let's start with the designer paper. Again, 12 by 5 1/4, scored at 2468. The largest section is over here, and you're going to fold it to the right and burnish. And when you score your designer paper, make sure you score lightly so you don't rip it. Then you're going to accordion fold back. And then again, this way. So you're just doing an accordion fold. And then one more is going to give you the same pattern on the front that you want to have showing. All right. All right, now we're just going to glue. Now you probably could leave this. Some people, there is a card where this opens up and people have done other things, but this is going to kind of be glued together for this version. So let's look at the back. Here's your big section. On the next square or rectangle here, between the score lines, you want to put your adhesive. You could use your tape runner, tear and tape, liquid glue like I'm using, whatever you prefer. I would say to make sure to get close to this edge here, so that when you, and then you're just going to close it so that it's glued to the end. Okay, so let me rub that around. All right, so that gives us our first page. I call this like a page in the book. And then you still have this here, and we're going to glue it together. Really doesn't matter which side you put your glue on, but you do want this side to be the glue to the end so that it closes tightly. It's not left open. Okay, so we're going to close that, and again, rub it. Okay, so then you have two flaps and your big piece. Your big piece is going to get centered onto the cardstock base. So let's do that. This is one place I would really encourage liquid glue, unless you're good at getting things where you want them in the first time, or if you have some kind of tape runner that lets you move, because the liquid glue gives you some wiggle room. Okay, so we're going to put this here, and then I can get it where I have a nice even border around the outside with that dark color peeking through. Okay. All right, and so then you have flap, flap inside. Okay, so for the front, again, once you stamped your image, you can decide if you want to have it with the white showing. Now, of course, I did this in a different color for a different card, but that would just look as nice, if it was the right color, as it does with the background poking through. So that's up to you how you want to do it. And I actually, on this one, textured, I used an embossing folder to add a little texture to that layer. So there's lots of different options on this. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and center this on here first, I think. So it might be a little bit easier to do that. You see my mistake on the back, but we never want to waste paper. Our paper has two sides, so we can reuse it if we make a mistake. Okay, so that gives it a little bit easier for me to see the center before I add the floral piece. Now, you could pop this up. There's plenty of room there for dimensionals or even for glue dots, which gives it a little bit of a dimension without a lot of bulk. But because this card flaps and has so many flaps and layers already, it's getting kind of heavy, thick to go through the postal machines. So I would probably leave it flat, unless you plan to hand it to somebody or you don't mind paying extra postage. Okay, so I'm just going to center that on here. And this is why I had the weird number, because of this box here, this square. I wanted there to be an even space all around. And I kind of wanted that to go over the edges like that. Okay, so that's glued down. Now, here's the tricky part, probably the trickiest part of all. So when you glue this on, you're only going to glue it to this top flap, which means the glue is only going to go behind here, not here, because if you put glue here or you put it on the wrong side, that's going to touch here and be stuck to the card and it won't open. So lay it down, kind of center it all around. And again, this is where liquid glue is helpful, but you could also do tear and tape or your tape runner. Just make sure when you turn it, you do it on the right, it's the correct side, I should say. All right, so I'm just going to, with my hand, say this is where the, I don't want to glue over here. So I'm going to just glue, and I'm going to err on less than I really think I need, because this liquid glue is going to hold it, even though I don't go all the way up to where my finger is. So now when I go to put it back, I know that I don't have to worry about it being too far away or being too far over this way. Okay, so that's the first part. And then what we're going to do is take, I already pre-stamped my two insides. I used some retired stamps. I'm making a sympathy card. So this is the one I want in the back. All right, so what I'm going to do is open this card up. And I told you that these were about the same size as the mat, and I cut them like a 1/16 smaller so that you can see it's going to be behind that mat and not stick out from it. So that's why I did that. So I'm going to glue the back. And I do like my liquid glue. You could use what you want, as always. And then I'm going to lay it here, right under there, and close my card. Should be in the right place. Give it a good rub. Get that glue to stick and to spread around if you're using the liquid. Okay, so it's over here. And now you can see when I close it, nothing's poking out. All right, and now the last one you're going to glue to this flap here. And again, this is just like the front, because this is going to open up more. You do not want glue here. So set this over here. And these are the same size. I'm going to put my fingers. This is where I can't go past my fingers, so I'm going to go down here with my glue. Error on the side of not putting too much or going too far. And then when you go to put it on here with the liquid glue, you have plenty of time, plenty of way to wiggle it. So that's right on top. The glue's over here. I'm going to rub it. Look at that. So that's hidden. Open it up with heartfelt sympathy, and then the inside. Wasn't that easy? Now the last thing is the greeting. I put thinking of you. This is from the stamp set, and I would put this on. Here's some little dimensionals. This is a great time to use mini dimensionals. You could always use regular and cut them up, but these work great for that. And we're done. Now you do want to stamp your envelope, maybe with this stamp set. Let me put this on and show you the stamp set one more time. Put that right there. This stamp set has great, these little ones you can see I used on the inside of my card. That would also be great along the envelope, as well as the little floral piece there. Great for the envelopes and just great sentiments. So I hope you'll consider this. Let me show you some of the other cards that I made using this set. Here's one with some designer series paper. I did some heat embossing here, and I did cut it out with both dies. This one I made thinking it looked like forsythia in the spring. It's always the first thing to bloom around here, so I did all yellow. This is Darling Duckling. Now, I don't know if you can see behind this layer, so I did not cut. I just cut with the outline. I didn't cut with both of them. And then behind it, instead of embossing, I used, let me see, I have a note. Whispers of Texture 12 by 12 specialty paper. It's an online exclusive, and I will have a link in the description, and as long as it's in the online store. It's a great product if you don't feel like embossing or don't have embossing folders and just want to add a little bit of texture to your card. But I love the monochromatic look. Of course, you could use any color where you use the ink, the paper, and some kind of a little embellishment. Here I used the Arches dies, designer paper. Did not cut the center out. I just left it on the white. I thought it needed that with a pop of white. And then here I did use some of the die pieces. And then here is another one. This is the back of this. This was my original paper I wanted to use. This is from the Lovely Blossoms Designer Series paper. It's in the mini catalog, I believe. Oh, no, it was a January online exclusive. It's so hard to know. But you could use any paper, of course. I thought it was a little bit busy, so I just made a bigger arch and then a white matte or a white inside to sort of pop these colors. And then, of course, I did cut both of those pieces out so you could see through to the white. And I really like that one. And then because I had some leftovers, I made this one with, again, that white texture, the petal pink, kind of the back of one of these. I always think of this as the back side. And then I stamped it and did not cut the inside out, just cut the outside. So it's just a different look. Both are equally pretty, I believe. If you're not in a hurry, you can do, well, it doesn't take any more time to do that, but it's just a little bit more effort. I just think these are really, really pretty. I hope you liked seeing these. I hope you'll give this card a try. Thanks for stopping by.